Alright, so I've been grinding my way through Apex Legends, which is a new game that came out, I think like a week or two ago. It's so good. I'm so bad at it. It's really a shame how terrible I am at this game. Honestly, it's a crime. But yeah, speaking of crime and awful things, let's delve into Mysterio. Kaboom! What's up, peeps? SuperCliff here, and thanks for tuning in to today's brand new episode. Alright, so Mysterio, let's get into it. Who is he? What's his deal? Is he a hero? A villain? In between? So, Mysterio, aka Quentin Beck, who debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 13, June 1964. And yes, his head is that of a fishbowl. Basically, Quentin Beck is your average fuck-up. You see, he comes from a background in Hollywood, working as a special effects artist and a stuntman. He also tried acting for a bit, but he was never really good at the whole acting trade, but was very talented within the whole special effects industry. His idols were more than likely Steven Spielberg, James Cameron. When you watch movies like Jurassic Park, Avatar, when you're first viewing it, you know that this is a movie. At the same time, it looks so real because it's just the people behind the camera work are just so talented. And that was Beck's entire shtick, bringing art to life. And you know, in movies, you can do that technically. And like all men with dream-like aspirations, he couldn't find a career. He just couldn't get big. He couldn't get to where he wanted to be. So, like anyone, he turned to crime because Marvel. And yeah, so he basically is framing Spider-Man throughout his entire debut issue by dressing up as Spider-Man and robbing banks. When he debuts as Mysterio in his Mysterio costume, fishbowl head and everything in front of the public, becoming the new hero as Mysterio. And of course, JJ loves Mysterio at first, and Spider-Man's like, this is a lie, I'm not robbing any banks. This guy is behind it somehow, I have to figure it out. And so when Spider-Man, fights Mysterio a couple times and eventually beats him, it's revealed the whole framing was Mysterio's way of getting big and known and well-liked, like how he always wanted to be. Thus begins the hatred for Spider-Man. And throughout Spider-Man's career, Mysterio would pop in there every now and then, annoying the web-slinger. He was also known for joining the original team-up of the Sinister Six in the first Spider-Man annual back in 1964. Spider-Man's greatest foes teaming up to fight the Wall-Caller together. Now we're going to focus on Mysterio's way of combating opponents, which in itself is weird, but it's really cool if you think about it, because in the way in which Mysterio would fight would be using illusions. He was a master in illusions. He wasn't no Doctor Strange, like he wasn't a real magician, although that is debatable. On some occasions, he would possess certain mystic arts abilities, but he was mostly known for creating his own inventions and using them against his opponents, sort of like Scarecrow from DC Comics, except not so much depending on the person's fear, letting the image portray itself as a reality rather than a dream. And so over time, Mysterio, as comics got more popular and certain villains were getting more portrayed within the stories, Mysterio kind of just was getting boring. Like, he became predictable. I mean, like, how many times can you fall for Mysterio's act of illusion without the feeling of repetitiveness? And honestly, Mysterio's costume itself is very Stan Lee, Jack Kirby day. Very old school, very corny. It's not very modern. When you try and put him in a comic like in the 80s or the 90s, newcomer readers, they're gonna be like, what the hell's this guy? He's got a fishbowl head. And that was also an ongoing joke against the villain himself. However, things changed once we got to the Marvel Knights era of comics. Now, for those of you who don't know what Marvel Knights is, it was basically a publishing initiative so that the non-top selling heroes, like, Daredevil, Black Panther, most of the street level characters were able to still have ongoing issues during the days of Comic Bust, so that Marvel can still afford the production of comics. But with this publishing initiative, you were able to tell darker, maybe a little bit more grittier stories than your typical Marvel top-branded series, like Spider-Man and X-Men. Hence began the Kevin Smith's take on Daredevil back in 1998, where we see Daredevil of this first arc just kind of going crazy. Like, he's seeing all these Antichrist references popping all over the place. And eventually it's revealed that Mysterio is behind the whole thing, because with Spider-Man getting really more cosmic and getting bigger as a superhero, Mysterio's just trying to make a name for himself, and also he got diagnosed with brain cancer, so he only has like months to live. And so he figures by making Daredevil go insane, he'll die as a worthy adversary to all the superhero community. But Daredevil obviously proves him wrong, and at the point where Mysterio is like, alright, this is stupid, and he just shoots himself in the face, dying. And obviously this is the same story arc where he hired Bullseye to kill Karen Page, and just a bunch of crap happens in this arc, and it really makes Mysterio very much more of a mental case than your typical villain. I remember when I read this arc, I was like, so he's a psychopath, a nutcase. Which makes sense as to why they cast Jake Gyllenhaal to play Mysterio, because Jake Gyllenhaal, in every single movie I've seen him in, he's insane. Nightcrawler, Prisoners, he's a dope actor at being crazy. And to play this pathetic guy like Quentin Beck, who's trying to be a hero to get attention but is really a crook, I understand everything now why they cast Jake Gyllenhaal. It makes me even more excited to see Spider-Man Far From Home. I just want to see Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. Like, will he portray Quentin Beck as this piece of crap dude that you're supposed to feel sorry for, but you know that he's just trash at the end of the day? I'm curious to see how they portray him. Obviously, they're going to do the whole like, oh, he's a hero, but he's really not. He's just framing Spider-Man or making himself look good, and that's why, you know, Nick Fury's there to catch him in the real act of crime and see what's happening. So, I mean, I'm in. Give us Mysterio. Just do it. Just go all for it. Just go all psycho on us. Go big or go home. And that wraps up today's video. If you guys like my content, please hit that subscribe button, as well as hit the bell symbol, so that the world of comics is never missed out. Peace, guys.